Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, I will show you how to customize the category axis in the .NET MAUI Cartesian Charts control. I will explain how to add a category axis to a Cartesian charts, customize its label placement and interval, and arrange items on the category axis. You'll also learn how to invert and hide the axis. As you can see, this column chart provides a visual representation of sales performance organized by product category. We can conclude from this that text values can be displayed for each data point in the chart using the category axis. First, I open an existing MAUI application, where I have already configured the necessary chart namespace and added the MAUI Cartesian Charts control. If you want to learn how to add the chart to an app, I recommend watching the Getting Started video linked in the card. You can also download the Getting Started example from the link provided in the description below. To initialize the axis for the chart, you need to define the x-axis and y-axis collections. In this case, I want to bind a data source with two fields, sales value and category value. So, I'll add a category axis to plot the text values on the x-axis. In the y-axis collection, I'll add a numerical axis to plot the numerical values on the y-axis. Additionally, set the main title for the chart to Sales Performance by Product Category. Now, let's populate data to visualize the product sales performance using the column series. To begin, create a new class named Model to represent the product details. Once created, make this class public. Within it, define two properties, Category and Sales. To generate the sales data, create another class named ViewModel and make it public. Within this class, define a new property named Data that will hold a list of product details. Then, initialize the constructor and assign a list of product details to the data property. To render the series, navigate to the main page XAML file and set the ViewModel as the binding context for the content page. This allows for the data to be accessible in the XAML. To visualize the data, add a column series to the chart and set its item source property to data. Map the data source fields, such as category to the X binding path and sales to the Y binding path. To enable the data label, set Show Data Labels to True. Now, let's run the application on an Android emulator. You can see the column series chart with a categorized x-axis displaying the appropriate labels, and the title is Sales Performance by Product Category. Now, let me show you how to set the title for the chart axis. First, add the title property for the category axis and define the chart axis title element. Inside this element, add the text property and set the x-axis title to category. Then, add a title for the numerical axis. By setting these titles, the chart becomes clearer and easier to understand. Following this, I will show you how to change the placement for the category axis labels. By default, the axis labels are positioned on the ticks. If you want to place the axis labels between ticks, define the label placement property and set its value to between ticks. See here, the x-axis labels are shown between the ticks. The intervals between the category axis labels are calculated automatically. If you want to change the axis intervals, define the interval property and set an appropriate value to it. Here, I set the value as 3. You can see that the intervals between the axis labels are customized. Next, let's see how to inverse and hide the category axis. By default, the axis values are displayed from left to right. Suppose, if you want to invert them, simply set the isInversed property to true. Before running it, remove the interval and label placement properties. And now the category axis is inversed, rendering the data points from right to left. If I want to hide this axis, I simply set the isVisible property to false. Notice here, the category axis is not visible anymore. Now, I will show you how to arrange items on the category axis based on their index. Before starting, remove the isVisible and isInversed properties. The Arrange by Index property is used to arrange items on the category axis according to their index or values. To demonstrate this, I will modify this example application to display a two-column series. First, I go to the Model class and add a new property named Year. To generate data, I navigate to the View Model class and define two collection properties named Data1 and Data2. In the constructor, I set values for the collections Data1 and Data2. Next, I go back to the main page XAML and set the column series item source to Data1 and X binding path to Year. To add another series, you can define a property named Series within the Cartesian chart control. Then, move the existing series inside this series property. This allows you to have multiple series within the chart and display them simultaneously. Finally, I add a new column series to this collection and set its item source to Data2, X binding path to Year, Y binding path to Sales, and show data labels to True. You can see that, by default, the items in the category axis are arranged based on their index. To arrange items based on their values, define the Arrange by Index property in the category axis and set it to false. You can notice that the items in the category axis are now arranged according to their values. In this video, I have shown you how to add a category axis to the Cartesian charts control, customize its label placement and interval, and arrange items on it. I also showed you how to invert and hide the axis. If you want to see a working example, you can download one from the GitHub link provided in this video's description. I have also included a link in the description where you can check if you qualify for our community license, which gives you a free license key for our entire .NET MAUI control suite. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.